Hey guys and girls, welcome back. I am of course Twist with YYC Designz Custom RC Creations, and welcome to another Miss Voodoo 2003 F350 SuperCrew dually 4x4 replica build. I figured we would start this one off by finally being able to show you some parts that I ordered, no bullshit, 6 months ago. They finally arrived. The first shipment got lost apparently, had all kinds of headaches with this supplier, and obviously never going to use them again. But the parts finally are here. Figured that maybe y'all would like to have a look at them. So why don't we move on with that right now. Alright, so a little bit of a part unboxing here today. Now this is, quite honestly, the first time I used RPP Hobby. Now, first and foremost, they do not sponsor me, okay? They absolutely don't. But this was the first time I ordered from them, and I gotta be honest, I am super satisfied, okay? They're competitively priced for what I can pull it in from China for. Now, alright, it's a little bit more expensive. Shipping is comparable, okay? Let's say that. Pardon me for being a little out of breath. I was out cutting my lawn, and I just finished here, and it's a beautiful day here in Cowtown. It's 31 degrees. I am just loving it. And being in the house right now, it's a little bit muggy, but that's okay. I want to get through this and show you this. It's a bit of a new thing I'm going to do with the videos. I'm going to show you guys and girls what I am putting in the vehicles, who makes it, that sort of thing. So let's start here, a little bit of an unboxing. So I bought myself a cell block here. I've seen these things. I love these things. I think they're great. You put your crawler right on top of them. You can turn them around. They're foam. They're not going to damage anything. They sit nicely on my workbench. In this case, my kitchen cutting board. All of that. So I bought myself a cell block. But seats. Now, I usually carve seats out of basswood. Anything, let's say that I want to resemble 50s and 60s, even earlier seats, earlier model vehicles, 1950s, 1940s I'm talking about. But when I have something modern like the Miss Voodoo project, I figured, you know, I'm gonna order a set and see what they are. So these are the Axial AX890 Corbeau LG1 seat. I saw them online. They're gonna be a little bit small, so they will fit in Ubi anyway, and or root beer. They are a perfect 10 scale. I was hoping they were going to be kind of in between and work. They're going to be a little too small for Voodoo, but they're a beautiful seat. I have a I have a set in a Wraith that I own and that I picked up, which is actually never going to be driven as a Wraith because I don't like the plastic, so the plastic cage and all that's gone off of it, and I've actually stripped it. It is basically a parts vehicle, but these Corbeau seats came out of the Wraith that I bought, and they're a really cool seat. My opinion, really worth the 20 bucks. Let's see, what's next? On to Voodoo. I am going to, these are the wheel nuts for Voodoo. They are the AX3429 12mm aluminum hub. They're black, of course. I picked up a couple of sets of these for my parts bin, basically. So I have some extra parts. Where's the other set? Let's see. There's the other set. So I picked up a couple of sets of those for parts. On to Voodoo. I really like these hot racing remote reservoir internal springs. These are the 100 mil. Hopefully you can see them through the plastic bag pretty decently. I don't want to take it apart just yet because of course all the small bits, I don't want to lose them out in the big shop, okay? So, but that's what is going on each corner of Voodoo, is one of these plus a regular spring. She's going to have, a regular shock. She's going to have dual shocks on each corner. They are already out in the big shop, but I picked up a set of Old Man Emu 80 mil shocks for the trailer, but all of a sudden, looky to my surprise, what showed up? All the parts for Voodoo that I ordered back, believe it or not, in December of 17. And so, Mr. Trent, your shocks for the trailer are here. I can finally finish it off and get it sent out to you. They are identical to the Old Man Emu from RC 4-wheel drive, and they're going to work out perfect. The only difference is they are black and not yellow, and they are 70 millimeter, not the 100 millimeter. So, back to Voodoo. I was immediately shocked when I saw that shipment, by the way. I couldn't believe it. I just got through writing a nasty letter to that shipper looking for my differentials. He really pissed me off big time. The guy would have to take 3 steps up to become absolutely useless. You know what I mean? So, but the parts are here finally. It only took exactly 6 months to the day that I ordered them. I couldn't believe it. Tams buys me a set of diffs for Miss Voodoo for our anniversary way back in December of 2017, and they arrived here last week, middle of the week. They arrived on Thursday when the double cabin cruiser build video was being done. Couldn't believe it. 6 months. Wow. Bang your head against a brick wall, right? Anyway, again on Voodoo, I have a Vanquish Dig unit. Now, this is the Hertz Dig V2 in black. As you can see, 80 bucks. And from what I've been seeing in all the reports on these, they are worth the 80 bucks. They're a solid quality. I got to be honest, I use a lot of Vanquish products. Hint, Vanquish. Big hint, okay? I use a lot of your products, guys, and I don't like doing commercials for free, but when I find a product that I believe in, I go with it. And Vanquish, honestly, top of the line stuff. Hot racing, same thing. Hint, hot racing. Yeah. Hints are for, I would love these companies to offer me a deal. You know, sponsorship or something, and but I doubt it'll ever happen. Anyhow, they are good products, both hot racing, but I do prefer the Vanquish. So she's getting a Hertz V2 Dig unit in black, and I bought Dorothy a toy. I bought her the Scale Factor Gearhead, the winch deal. There, you can see it there if it'll focus. I hope. Focus, come on. Let's see if you can just read it instead. I can't get it to focus. I'll read it to you. It's the GEA 1154 110 Scale Factor 55 Pro Link. It's the little winch job that goes onto the winch. Yeah? Instead of the hook, there it is. It puts that on there, and it allows you to hook up all your different winch accessories right to your winch, so you don't have to keep flipping them around or finding ways to attach them to your hook. You just hook right into this instead. So, and it saves your winch cable from being sucked in too far. And yeah, you get the traditional decal with the stuff. So that was the RPP order that I made. And that's what we got out of that lot. Now here is what I'm going to say is the important stuff for today. This is the front diff, of course, out of an axial Wraith, and some other parts that I'm gonna copy into metal components, because I don't care what Axial says. I think this plastic is just purely garbage. I got the Wraith from a kid. No bullshit, a kid. This kid begged his parents for months to buy him this Wraith, and within an hour and a half, and I watched him the whole hour and a half, he did not run this thing hard. It went off of one little 1 foot high wood pile into some dirt in my backyard, and the cage broke in 3 places. Literally, the cage just snapped in 3 places. Yes, I know you can glue it back together, but we're talking a $400 model, and the thing lasted an hour and a half before the polymer tubing blah 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 cage that Axial puts on the thing snapped in 3 places. It's quite politely a piece of shit. But I do like Axial gears, diffs, all of that. They build a good product that way. I like their diffs. However, these are plastic, so these are just going to be a setup diff for Miss Voodoo. They will just be a setup diff so that I can line everything up. I finally have a set. Now I can at least start lining up the diffs, the tranny, everything, and figure out how long the drive shafts need to be, that sort of thing. And of course, the Wraith tranny. This is just your stock Axial Wraith tranny that the Hertz V2 dig unit will bolt onto behind, because I have tons of room. This is also going to be changed because it's going to have a dual motor setup on it. It is going to get 2 Holmes Hobby 540 revolvers put into it, running on 3S LiPo. So it's going to be a dual motor setup for Miss Voodoo, and the dig unit on the back. And I am probably also really seriously looking at putting a couple 3-to-1 gear reduction units on each motor. And then of course I will copy the Wraith battery tray in metal instead of this cheesy plastic. And so there's our LiPo battery setup. The tray out of the Wraith, the only thing it's going to be used for is the bolt pattern, so I can get the bolt pattern right when I make the motor and the gearbox mounts and all of that on Miss Voodoo, and that way I have a perfect bolt pattern to copy and transfer to a metal motor mount. And lastly but not least, now we have the Christmas present, the anniversary gift that Tams bought me. We have the excuse me, K&K knockoff metal diffs, including, by the way, metal servo horn and carbon fiber servo mount. So this is what's going to be going on Miss Voodoo as far as metal parts that I had to buy. Obviously, there will be no plastic on it at all. That is the carbon fiber, not plastic, just so you all know. And of course, here is the rear differential. So, and she will be a 4-link system. I am still debating on a panhard setup. So we'll see whether it's going to be a 4-link or a 3-link with panhard, or a 4-link with panhard, or what I'm going to do. I'm a little unsure yet how I'm going to finish her. But yeah, the metal diffs finally arrived. Unbelievable. And then of course I am going with the K&K 135 to 150 millimeter drive shafts, the slip drive shafts, with the really nice CV joint rather than the dog bone. Same as the front steering. They are, as you can see here, CV joint, not dog bone. They're the CVs. So hopefully we're going to have a lot smoother running and trouble-free. And then it's going to take, I know it's going to take at least 3 of the 135 to 150 millimeter drive shafts. And I will make a custom carrier bearing out of a micro pillow block bearing and a piece of 1/4 inch solid steel rod to form a carrier bearing between the front rear drive shaft and the rear drive shaft into the rear diff. So there are all the parts I've received from Miss Voodoo lately. And the other thing is I am also looking at, whoops, I just dropped it, excuse me. I am also looking at using the Tekin motors as well for certain applications versus the Holmes Hobby. I don't want to spend a lot of money on the Holmes Hobby motors and start putting them through crap that I don't want to put an expensive motor through, so I'm going to use the Tekin obviously as a setup motor anyway, but also as a bit of well, just not a top of the line motor. I'm going to use the Tekin for the setup as well as for running through water and that sort of thing. I know the Holmes will do it, but I don't know that I want to gum up a Holmes motor like that and have to keep cleaning it and all of that. I'd like to keep the Holmes a lot more cleaner just because, you know, of the money. And the Tekin was a lot less money. So this came, by the way, with the ESC. So we're going to be looking at that as well. So, okay, let's get on to something more important and some building here. But that is the unboxing for the Miss Voodoo parts and Ubi and or Root Beer parts that have shown up. Root Beer, I don't know. We'll see what the owner of Root Beer wants, whether he wants to run the Corbeau seats or my stock seats that I will make that will copy the truck exact. We'll see which way he wants to go with it. But yeah. Okay, so where you see all of these yellow marks and so on, okay, is where I am planning on putting the diffs, shock mounts. I'm going to have to use a carrier bearing because, of course, even stretched out, my drive shafts are 6 1/4 inches at their safest. That allows room to flex out even further when the diffs drop into a hole or a ditch or whatever, but it also allows them to collapse up to their shortest length. So I've calculated that 6 1/4 is as far as I want to extend those drive shafts. That leaves a little over an inch per end on the drive shaft for full extension. Now, my motor, of course, is going to have to sit closer to what would be the left-hand side of the vehicle. Bear in mind, Miss Voodoo is upside down right at the moment. Okay, I am going to mount the motor on its side, or the gearbox on its side, in here so I'm going to be building a mount from here going down into the cab, which will basically be right under the firewall, so y'all will never see it. Ergo, when I attach the motors, hang on to, there it is. Now this is just a junk setup motor, but when I attach the motors now, they will be in here where the motors should be. As you see upside down, this is where the fenders will attach, ergo, where the motor will be is where my hand is. Yeah, that is where you would see your oil pan and everything, so on. The front diff, whoops, dropping things here. So the front diff will sit in here, and the motor's above it, of course. So, today is kind of the boring side of things. It's a setup day, and so there won't be any building on this video. That well, I don't think I'm going to get any building done on the truck today to put onto this video, but I wanted to show you how I set things up. Yeah, so basically I take a paint marker, I take the actual part, I set it up where I think I'm going to want it, obviously, and then I work out my tolerances for each specific item, each specific part, where the shock mounts will go, where the diff lines up across the vehicle. And of course you have to be millimeter perfect on this, because if you're not, you're going to start blowing out gearing, bearings, all kinds of shit in these rather expensive alloy differentials. Okay, this set was one of the less expensive sets because it's a knockoff, but what I like about it, no names. Yeah, nobody's stamped their name into this. Okay, I do not like advertising for other companies unless I'm going to get something out of it. I'm not here to advertise, I am here to make a living. So not having to advertise for somebody else unless I choose to works for me. So that's why I look more at the knockoffs, because they are in fact made by the same company, come out of the exact same plant in China. A little bit of information for you all there. This is an axial Wraith metal alloy differential. Comes fully geared, comes with the shock mounts, comes with the 4-link mounts and all of that good stuff, built-in alloy truss, the whole bit. It's a very solid, very smooth differential. I love them. And like I say, beauty is, not only are they very smooth and very nice looking, they're also very tough. And that's what I like about them, but they do not advertise. So I'm not carrying excuse me, the axial diff cover on here. I'm not showing a K&K or whoever, you know, Vanquish, whatever. I am not doing any free advertising for anybody, because YYC Designz Custom RC Creations is, of course, its own company. So I don't want somebody else's name all over my models and my replicas, yeah? So, but it's also less expensive to buy them that way. So what I have figured out, though, is I am going to have to build a carrier bearing between the drive shafts, because at 6 1/4, where, like I said, I have determined is the length I want it at to allow for further extension when the vehicle's on the road, and for it to collapse when the vehicle again is on the road but is hitting a bump. You know how the drive shaft goes in and out. Now, I've determined that the full extension I want to go to on that drive shaft is 6 1/4 inches. But from where my motor will mount here, yeah, all the way back to my rear diff just happens to be, let me look at my notes, 13.5 inches from point to point. So with that 13.5 inches, 6 1/4 and 6 1/4 is 12.5. I am going to need a carrier bearing anywhere from 1 1/8 inch, possibly up to, sorry, I wasn't on my spot there, 1 1/8 inch to possibly, I left myself some air room, up to 2 inch. So this across here is where I will be making my carrier bearing mount, which, like I explained, will be basically a micro pillow block bearing, if I could talk, a micro pillow block bearing with just a 1/4 inch steel rod shaft coming through it to facilitate being able to connect my drive shafts. So I will have one coming off the motor into the carrier bearing, one coming from the carrier bearing back to the rear differential. Exactly, by the way, how the Ford F350 1-to-1 is really designed. It is exactly that way on the truck. So it works out very nicely for me. I get to build it very close to 100% replica. Okay. Also, I'm going to have to make the motor mount off to one side, because when you look at this, of course, no matter how you turn it, okay, it's going to have to be mounted on the side. And like I said, the electric motors will go into the motor compartment where they should, but the motor has to be mounted off to one side because of where the output shafts are. So the front output shaft, we can use a regular front front or rear, doesn't matter, differential or drive shaft. I have another one on order, another metal one, so it's coming in, but this is one off of that Wraith I was telling you all about. So it's plastic, but they're great for setup. I use the plastic parts for setup, and then my good stuff doesn't get damaged. Yeah, I only have it out here just because I want to be sure I'm exact, and it's the first time I've actually had a chance to set them up in the model and have a look at them. So from here on out, I will be using the plastic parts that came off of the Wraith until I am ready for final install. Anyhow, so this is how I set them all up. I get my measurements and boom, start building. So now this is where my differential will go. I now know exactly where I need to build my dual shock mounts on either side of the truck. I know exactly where my motor mount's going to be. I know exactly how big I got to make it. My carrier bearing, my rear shock mounts, my rear 4-link mounts will go in here. Those I haven't set up yet. My front 4-link mounts will go in there somewhere too. Haven't set those up yet. And it's a whole lot of setup, and it does take time to do it properly, because like I say, you really want to be millimeter perfect here, guys. If you're not, you're going to start tearing up your gearboxes. These are built very well, but bear in mind, they have a lot of strain and a lot of pressure on them, and if you're out or crooked or something, it's going to tear them up real quick, and you're going to be chewing up $90 Canadian anyway, $50 US. You're going to be tearing up, you know, anywhere from a $50 to $100 gearbox. You're going to be chewing up anywhere from $100 to a $200 pair of differentials, that sort of thing. You really don't want to do it. You're going to be really messing up your drive shafts along the way. So you want to be millimeter perfect on this stuff. And when you're dealing with the metal especially, because these metal models are not going to give like the plastic ones do. There is going to be no give once this stuff is mounted. So you got to be right on the money, and it's got to be damn near perfect, just like the real truck. Otherwise you're screwed. And that's why I put so much attention and detail, or at least I try to, into making sure that when I build my initial frame, it's absolutely square, so that I know my measurements and my marks are that millimeter perfect, so I know that my parts are going to go in absolutely straight. So yeah, that's about where I am right now. I got a couple things I have to build before I can put in my 4-link mounts. I also have to make the 4-link arms. The front upper and lower, rear upper and lower are of course going to be of my own design. I've got to get some of this other stuff in place so I know exactly where I am going to put my 4-link mounts in on the frame. We know where they're going to go on the differentials, of course, which is right up on the top here. We know that. This is backwards. Should go like that. See, those are the little mistakes you really got to watch, yeah? But this video's gotten pretty long, so I think that's going to be it for here on Miss Voodoo. So I hope you enjoyed the unboxing and how I set things up. If you did, Please like the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe in the button down below there or at the end of the video, and I shall see you in the next YYC Designs Custom RC Creations video. This has been Twist, and y'all have a great day. Take care, guys and girls. Bye-bye.